Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel Agenties. Today I want to talk about a very unusual topic, for me unusual, because I feel very uncomfortable talking about personal things, but maybe if I will share with you, I will feel better. So today I want to talk about social anxiety. Even talking about this make me feel a bit anxious, and I understand that many people after COVID or during COVID start to have these issues, but unfortunately I started to have this problem 7 years ago. Unfortunately, after many types of treatments like pills, even therapy, I don't really see any results. And unfortunately, I see that as older I'm getting, as bigger this problem comes to me. So my first anxiety, social anxiety, happened when I was 20 years old. I had very stressful work in the hospital, and I remember it happened after my promotion. I was a manager, so I did a lot of work, with the calls, with arranging, appointments, and I remember that my work was so stressful and I worked really a lot. I didn't sleep enough, I didn't have time for food, and also I work in a very small room with many people inside. So to be honest, I was sort of like locked in a very, very small space. Also, I remember that I started to have troubles with my colleagues who after promotion was not very friendly to me, and of course I felt this pressure. First months I remember that I was just stressful. I always have this panic inside me, but it was not as bad, so I thought that maybe I'm just nervous. But I do remember my first anxiety. It was in a subway. It happened so suddenly that I didn't understand what's going on. I remember feeling so uncomfortable and anxious in the crowd during the traffic, where a lot of people in a subway, and I'm running on my work, and suddenly I start to have upset stomach. I ran home, went to the bathroom, and I realized I'm afraid to go outside. First I decided like, well, maybe it's not good to using, subway, or maybe I should take a bus. And I remember next day I did that and it again happened. And I remember how confusing it was because when I reached my work, I just spent so much time in the bathroom crying and thinking like, what's going on with me? Why I feel so stressed? And unfortunately at that time I didn't have access, to therapy, or even found this some information in YouTube was not very available, because people start talking about mental issues maybe only like 4 years ago. So I remember after this experience I decided, well, maybe I should take a taxi. And it also didn't work, because in the taxi it was even more uncomfortable, because when you are in the traffic you understand like you're in the middle of the road, right? You cannot back home and you cannot reach work. So your desire to go to the bathroom becomes even more stronger. And I start thinking maybe something wrong with my stomach, maybe I ate something bad. And I did so many diagnostics. I checked my heart, I checked my blood pressure, I even did gastroscopy, and all results was positive and they were fine. I mean, negative, right? So I was healthy. I didn't have any issues. So I was even more confused. I remember I started asking my colleagues to help me to go home every time when I finished my work. But as you understand, people don't really understand sometimes what doesn't mean anxiety. And sometimes when you say, oh, I have anxiety or panic attack, some people can misunderstood, not because they are mean, maybe because they just don't understand what is this. And they think that anxiety is just when you're a bit nervous. Well, it's not. When I'm a bit nervous, I can control it. But when I have anxiety, this is horrible. I feel like I'm dying. I do even remember a situation when I was in the bus and I was so afraid to lose consciousness. And I also was afraid that I extremely, and right now, need to go to the bathroom. And I think you know what I mean. And my biggest fear was that I will do this in a public place. And it was so embarrassing because I was a young girl in a public place with a pretty face, and I constantly thought about bathroom. I was afraid that what if suddenly I will have these thoughts, or my body will tell me you need to go to the bathroom. And it really changed my life because I remember that once I decided to stop eating, I thought that if I will stop eating, that will reduce my desire to go to the bathroom. But unfortunately, it didn't work. It just made me feel even worse because I was hungry all the time. And then I remember I took a vacation, and I spent mostly like this vacation at home, and I started feeling better. I do remember that being at home felt for me like that I feel more comfortable, that I'm safe, nothing would happen, bathroom is very close. And you know what? It was just so strange because at home I had never had anxiety, and I thought like maybe I'm just tired. And I rest, I had enough time to sleep, and then I'm back to my work and it happened again. I do remember that I was so shy to tell these things to someone. I just told it to my former best friend, and she really was very supportive, but unfortunately no one in the hospital I work with, the doctors, they didn't really understand what's going on with me. I remember in this hospital I had a psychiatrist, but again I was a bit shy to go to and tell about this problem, and also I just felt that people won't understand me. And I remember at that time I decided to quit this job because the amount of stress was enormous, and I felt a lot of pressure from my colleagues, people who didn't like me. And I just felt like it's better to leave this place and have some time to rest. But then I met boyfriend, and he really helped me to deal with this problem, because I remember that first 3 months I asked him to go with me in the subway, in the bus, and he was very supportive. I do remember how I was shy to share this little detail about me, and he started making fun that everybody goes to the bathroom, there's nothing wrong with that. And I just felt uncomfortable because first dates I had this issue, and I just pretend that I need to fix my makeup, but actually it was not makeup. And just slowly, step by step, I thought that my anxiety disappeared completely, but I was very wrong. Because to be honest, anxiety, it's like disease when you understand that it's important to have treatment and do not let this anxiety to inflame in your body. Unfortunately, after a while, I broke up with this boyfriend, and of course, my anxiety returned. I start to have another issues, that I started to have anxiety at home, and that was really bad because at that time I started also to have issues with my sleep. I also struggle of migraines, of very strong migraines, and I did so many checkups, MRI with the contrast, all ultrasound diagnostics which possible. I had doctor who prescribed me antidepressant, citalopram, and slowly, step by step, they improve my health. I do remember even how proud I was that, I don't have anxiety for half year. It was like a real achievement to me, but unfortunately, in a while, it returned again. And this is the biggest problem. You never know when anxiety will come back to you. You approximately understand that it might happen in a very stressful situation or when you have some crisis in your life. But to be honest, I feel like my anxiety is like my shadow. It will always follows me. I just need to find a way how to prevent or at least shut down it a bit. And of course, the crisis of my anxiety, like really big crisis, started during COVID. And I have to tell that my work, I'm a comm girl, so I'm usually working from home and I'm working at night. So I remember that first year or two, I didn't notice, that working from home really changed my life. And to be honest, I don't know in a good or in a bad way. The negative part from working at home and being independent that you actually alone. Every time when I'm in the crowd, I or have to take a drink, but usually alcohol works in a very toxic way, or I just ignore this sort of events. When I moved to the UK, it was during COVID, and it was very strange because I moved in 2021 in February, and all shops, restaurants, malls, everything was closed. And until May, so 4 months, I was kind of isolated. My moving was very stressful, and I remember that I started to have really bad issues with my migraines. I was diagnosed with a cluster migraine. It when pain affects one part of your face, but my migraines has issues with my mental health. So when I feel anxious or stressful, or for example, I had some bad day, I can have migraine. But from physical part, I'm completely healthy, and that's so it's good, but at the same time it's a bit confusing because you understand that your mental health is so important, and because of the COVID, all doctors was concentrating on this issue and they prescribed me some meds, but they didn't work. And also I started to have problems with insomnia, and oh boy, that was the worst whatever happened in my life. Because what could be better than a healthy 9-10 hours of sleep? Right, nothing. And suddenly I just stopped sleeping. I mean, at all. Anxiety could be like a rabbit hole, different and deeper, and like it can bring you very strange and bad issues. Like I said, insomnia. And I remember doctors prescribed me very strange medications. For me, they was not good. From zolpidem, I started hallucinating, and it was not a good experience. Mirtazapine completely shut me down. It's honestly felt like I was so drugged that it was just impossible to wake up. So I decided to stop taking this medication and try to find some other way. And unfortunately, if you don't have a good meds or doctor, these issues become a real nightmare because you understand that your day is dedicating, for example, not to your work or to your hobbies or just to your life, but to your issues. And you understand that the happiest day is the day when you slept at least 3 hours. I remember that when I started to have insomnia, for me was like goal of the day to sleep at least 2 hours. But you understand 2 hours, it's very little. But at that time, for me, it was a lot. But as much as I treated my problems with anxiety and doctors prescribed me propranolol, I can tell that this is a good med. At least it helped me to stabilize myself, that I couldn't fall in this rabbit hole. My sleep started improving, but it took approximately 3 or 4 months. I remember how happy I felt that I sleep every day 6 hours, I can work. But it was very hard because one day you become so exhausted of all of these things that you just feel like it's better to die than to live like this. People start, more go outside, bars and restaurants are open. And I understand that for my work, it is important to meet with people, and even not for work, make some new friends, go in the public places. And I realized, well, this is a big issue for me. I don't know how to be in the crowd. And I remember 2 months ago, I was on the party. It was very nice place with very interesting people in London. And I was so anxious that I drank 5 glasses of champagne. 5 glasses, it's a bottle. But the thing is that during anxiety, if I drink things like sparkle wine or champagne, it worked for me as a toxins. If, for example, during anxiety I will take a shot of strong alcohol, like 50 grams, it can help me to relax. But if I drink like soft alcohol, I don't really feel, I cannot become tipsy. And what I was surprised that during that evening, my anxiety was on the top. It was a lot of people. There was a lot of people. I didn't expect to see so many of them. And of course, I want to show like best part of me, being friendly and talkative. And I didn't even notice how much I drank. It just was like a water for me. And I was surprised how energetic and friendly I was. For me it felt like, oh, I'm on cloud nine. I feel good. But the thing is that you can't even imagine how I felt bad next day. First, because I drank really a lot. I mean, bottle of champagne during the evening, it's a lot for me. And I woke up in my hotel next day and I had anxiety. I woke up because my heart just ran so fast. And the worst is when you don't understand, you just, hangover, or you really have a migraine or panic attack. Usually I start feeling very cold and I really cannot warm myself up, so I can stay in the warm bed or wear warm clothes, but my fingers and my toes are very cold. And unfortunately, I feel very sick, and it's like not food poisoning, it's not alcohol poisoning, it feels like your body just hates you, at that moment. And sometimes it feels like, well, you have to just wait an hour and then you will feel better. Yesterday, your body was very concentrating on the important task, and then next day when you feel like, whew, done, I did that, your body say like, well, I worked hard, so now take it. I had a train at that day, like I have to go home. And what big mistake I did? I forgot my pills and I realized that I have to come back home to help myself. But to go home means that I have to go to the train station, stay in the train for 2 hours, then take a taxi, go home. It honestly felt for me like I think I will just pass out on my way to the train station. And unfortunately, I didn't find a good psychiatrist or doctor here who can help me to find a solution, because what GP prescribed me, I tried almost all these pills, but none of them are not good. So I think I have to find a good psychiatrist who can help me with this, because I really want to have more meetings with friends, have new friends. I want to be more social because I truly like to be with people. Of course, I like to have my private space, but at the same time, I'm not the hermit, for sure. I like to be around people, but my biggest problem is that I'm afraid, and it's not like I'm just not confident. It's just because I know that my anxiety can make a very bad joke. So if I will feel comfortable, I will keep you updated about this issue. If you feel the same, I feel sorry for you, but remember that you're not alone. And it's sometimes hard to believe that a pretty woman as me, who sexy and confident, could have these issues. And trust me, there were days when I thought that maybe I will always have these problems and I will always think about bathroom. Like now, it's my anxiety during 7 years really, really changed. I mean, it started from very innocent situations compared what I have right now, because now it's anxiety volume 2.0. But I hope that one day I will just forget about this problem, or at least have the right treatment for it. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time. Take care. Bye.